You are listening to episode number 214 of the All About Breastfeeding show. I am your host, Lori Jill Eisenstadt, IBCLC, and I help moms with breastfeeding. To learn more about how we can work together to help make breastfeeding easier for you, please go to allaboutmothering.com. All About Breastfeeding, the place where the girls hang out? Well, it has been a dream of mine for quite a long time. I may not have had the exact title in mind, however, I did know exactly what my goals for this show were long before the very first episode. We are taking a few weeks break here at All About Breastfeeding, and during these few weeks, I am rebroadcasting some of my earlier shows. Today's show is one that I recorded in which I gave you some personal insight into my life as a breastfeeding mother. In today's show, I talk about NIP. That is NIP. You know how I love my acronyms. This one stands for Nursing in Public. I love when moms share their first NIP story, and I am no different. All right, everybody, we will be back on October 30th with Season 7 and some brand new interviews. For right now, enjoy today's show.
Balloons, bazookas, boobies, bosoms, boulders, cans, hooters, knockers, melons, honkers, jugs, rack, tatas, tits, torpedoes, guns, bust, doorknobs, coconuts, and our favorite one, the girls. Welcome to the All About Breastfeeding show, where your host, Lori, highlights mothers just like yourself and goes beyond the surface questions and digs deep so they share not only their joys and happiness in their daily breastfeeding life, but also their pain and struggles and how they worked through them.
Hi, everyone. This is Lori Jill Eisenstadt, IBCLC, and I am your host of All About Breastfeeding, the place where the girls hang out. Every host has their own personality, and as you can see, my personality comes shining through with that introduction. I'd love to welcome you to today's episode. My hope is that with every show and every story, you gain a new appreciation for mothers and babies and breastfeeding. You will want to go check out the show notes, which are on the website, for the various resources mentioned in each podcast. We have a great show today. Let's get started. Hey everyone, so today I'm having another Just Lori show, and this one is titled NIP, which stands for Nursing in Public. So I'd like to talk about nursing in public for the first time. You know how I love my acronyms. With our first baby, many of us cannot even fathom nursing in public. Some people have no issues about it. I didn't really have an issue about it. It's not anything I ever really thought about, but for some mothers, it can be quite daunting for the first time. I actually did not put much thought into it before Alicia was born, probably just as well. The weight on my shoulders was already way too heavy with all my thoughts and concerns and worries about everything related to giving birth. I had no room in my brain for anything else at that point. Guess it was a good thing too. Otherwise, I surely would have driven myself insane. After giving birth to Alicia, the early weeks were rough as far as breastfeeding goes, and that definitely created a hesitation about nursing in public. I was not concerned about privacy issues, more concerned with how I looked when I clenched my teeth and tried to hold back tears. Not a pretty sight, and it was embarrassing to me. I did nurse her from the very beginning in public places, but in areas that were somewhat private. Like I would scout out a place at the beach. She was a summer baby, and I would put my blanket at the far end of the beach where not too many people were, or at the dock where no one else really was at the end of the dock. My first real big challenge was when I went to the community pool, which was actually the same community pool I grew up going to. Any Long Islanders here from Massapequa will remember Marjorie Post Park Pool. It was divided into the baby pool, the main pool, and the diving pool. Since Alicia was born the end of June, I pretty much missed out on most of July. But in August, I started meeting my mother and sister at the community pool. My oldest sister's kids were 3 and under, and she spent much of her time at the baby pool, hanging out with her friends. The baby pool was just a few inches deep. It was a normal, hot, and humid day that first day that I went. I had on a one-piece bathing suit. I was sitting in the pool with a lot of other moms, sitting Indian style on the floor of the pool while holding Alicia in my lap so we could all keep cool. When she started to show signs of hunger, and I thought about nursing her sitting in the pool, and there were others up close and personal, I don't know exactly what happened to me, but all of a sudden I chickened out. I had spent several weeks of going to the pool, and I don't really think I ever saw another mother breastfeeding her baby. I realize now, I don't know how true that was. Perhaps they were sitting in a chair. Maybe they were covered with a blanket. But I just don't remember seeing them nurse their baby. And I don't even know why. But all of a sudden, I thought, well, I just can't do this. So I picked her up and I went into the women's changing area. This included showers, bathroom stalls, sinks. And the showers and the bathroom stalls were on the outer edge. We're on the inner edge, and on the outer edge were long rows of changing room stalls. They had no roof, so the sun shone right down on you, but you could close the door. They had a wooden slat bench, and I remember I had to keep adjusting how I sat because the nails on the wooden slats were hot, hot, hot. And the walls were this hard plastic material that shook every time someone went in and out of the stalls around you. These were meant for getting dressed and undressed, in and out of your bathing suit. So I just want you to know for sure I wasn't nursing her in the bathroom. I sat down on this bench with wooden slats and I started feeding Alicia. After a few minutes, gosh, I was just so uncomfortable. It was so hot and humid, and the sun was shining down on us, and I was just sweating. And I remember that the sweat was rolling down my neck and onto poor Alicia. After a few minutes, I said to myself, ugh, this is bullshit. What am I doing? So Alicia, she basically fed from both sides. She was a both-side breastfeeder. And once she was done with that first side, I just picked her up and went back to the baby pool. I remember my mother saying to me, oh, that was quick, you're done already? And I said, no, but it's so freaking hot sitting in those changing room stalls, I'm just going to sit right here in the pool and feed her. I think my mother's comfort level was me sitting in a chair on the cement deck of the pool, and I could see her face when I sat right down in the pool. I actually don't remember if she said the words, here, but I felt like that's what she was thinking. And I'm like, yep, I'm just sitting here feeding her. I latched Alicia on while I sat in the pool and kept both of us cool. And that was that. That was the day I did not think twice about feeding Alicia in any public place. And I stopped looking for out-of-the-way places and just fed her wherever and whenever she was hungry. It's just one of those things that perhaps only another breastfeeding mother can understand. But this first nursing experience was something I walked and talked about as if it was my badge of honor, something I was proud of. I spent the next 10 summers hanging around that baby pool, and while I did hear people out loud debating whether mothers should breastfeed their baby at the public pool, no one ever said anything to me directly, and frankly, I could care less. I have heard of many funny arguments or thoughts about nursing in public, and I have heard of a lot of comments that have angered me. But my most favorite all-time argument it goes like this. Well, what if your milk drops or sprays into the pool, or your baby has some in her mouth and it dribbles into the water? That is not sanitary. I am like, people, moms and dads and grandparents, you are sitting on the floor of this pool with your little ones. You do realize that you're sitting there for hours at a time in the same pool where babies who are wearing diapers are peeing and pooping. Do you really think none of that leaks out of their diapers? The argument about the fact that they're wearing diapers and it absorbed when they peed is almost laughable. I mean, come on, right? As a side note, the worst thing is when some poop was observed floating around the pool. That was a big deal at the pool. It was the worst because the pool managers would make a big announcement and they would kick everybody out of the baby pool and it would be closed down, sometimes for a few hours and sometimes for the whole day, while they emptied the pool, sanitized it, and refilled it with water. We mothers hated those days because it kicked us out of the pool, and now it was so hot, and we had our kids out of the house, and we were looking for something to do, and they closed the baby pool on us. I work with a lovely new mother today. She has had her struggles with breastfeeding. Her baby was born quite early, and she has moved from supplemental feeds from a bottle to using a nipple shield full time. I am so proud of her hard work and dedication and motivation with keeping up her supply and working together with her baby. Today she shared me a story of her using the nipple shield in public for the first time. She was as cool as she told me the story of not caring what anyone else thought, as she fumbled with the shield and latched her baby on. I told her, good for you. She is one determined mommy, and she wants to be out and having a social life. And so it should be with all mothers. There's no need to stay home isolated. I really want mothers to know that you need to get out, be with other mothers, and there are ways to help figure out how to nursing in public. I just shared with you my story, a little bit about this mom's story, but there is help to enable you to comfortably nurse your baby on the outside. As always, I would love to hear your personal stories. Go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz and click on the microphone and record your story. Or if it's a long one, you can send it to me using the allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/contact me page, and I will share all your nursing in public stories on another show. If you like the show and would like to join our Facebook group, all you need to do is go to Facebook and punch in the 4 words, All About Breastfeeding Community, and that will bring you to our page. Join us and chime in. Meet each other, introduce yourself, get to know each other, and ask questions if you have them. Until the next show, bye-bye.